Hey everyone, we had some more big news come out of Nikola. So in this video, I was going to talk about what that news is and what it could mean for Nikola stock investors. So let's jump right into it. The big news is that on September 22nd, Nikola Corporation expects to sell $40 million of convertible notes. Those $40 million would go to the company, which then the company can use to invest in increasing its manufacturing capacity, producing vehicles, and delivering them to customers who have already placed orders. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that it's a convertible note, not debt and not equities, right? It's in between. It's a convertible note. So it's a loan that could convert into equity if certain conditions are met. And so it's kind of an in between that gives the lender both the upside if there's some performance metrics that are hit, and it also gives it some protection just in case those performance metrics are not hit. The lender can still recoup the $40 million it has lent out. So it's a bit of a blended approach of raising capital. Now, interestingly, I will note that this 40 million is not going to be the end of Nikola's need to raise money, right? They need a lot more money, and let's show you exactly how much they're going to need. And this is according to management, right? This is straight from the company's earnings call transcript, their most latest earnings call transcript, and this is management saying, we have redefined our business and reduced our cash burns. Still, we estimate that we will need approximately $600 million of additional capital to fully fund the business until we achieve profitability. 600 million until they can sustain themselves, essentially. So that's how much money they're going to need to get to the point where the business is self-sustaining and they're not going to need to come back to investors and say, give us more money. So this 40 million is just a drop in the bucket of the 600 million that they're going to need until they can achieve profitability. Now, I will say that I think it's good news for Nikola stock investors that the company only did 40 million, because of this 600 million that they're going to need to raise, it matters when they do it. It matters when they do it. If they were to try and raise all 600 million right now, they would have to pay a premium price to get that money. They would have to pay higher interest rates and issue more shares in order to get this 600 million, because the company's not in a good position right now. They're not in a good position. They're burning through a lot of money. Their sales are not robust. Their profit margins are not where they need to be. And so lenders are going to ask for higher interest rates if Nikola will want to borrow money. However, if Nikola was to do this incrementally, borrow 40 million here, use that money to effectively grow the business. Effectively is the key. Grow the business. And then when they hit that new milestone, maybe a month from now, maybe 3 weeks from now, maybe 8 weeks from now, whenever that might be, when they're in a better position than they are today, then they can go back to the capital markets and say, look, you gave us this money, 40 million, a month or 2 months ago, whatever it may have been. Look what we did with that money. Look how much we accomplished with that money. Now we're at this point and we need a little bit more, but now we're going to ask for lower interest rates. We're going to ask for a better deal because we're in a better position. And so if they are actually in a better position, they can get a better deal because lenders would be more interested in lending and investors would be more interested in purchasing Nikola stock if the company has made some progress. So the key is for Nikola to use this money effectively. Fewer mistakes, fewer letdowns, fewer promises that have been broken and pushed out to future deadlines, more effectiveness, more good news coming out of the company, more of the management saying, look, we said we were going to do this, but in fact we did that ahead of schedule. More of that, right? Because then when they go back to investors, when they go back to lenders, they can go back with a better negotiating position. Otherwise, they're going to go back to lenders and they're going to go back to them in a more desperate situation, and they're going to need to give up more in order to get the money they need to get to this point of where they expect to be EBITDA neutral by the end of 2025. So that's what this means for investors, and that's what it could mean, right? Initially on the news, the stock price fell, which is common. It's common for the stock price to fall when a company enters into an agreement to uh, issue convertible notes or issue more shares, because investors take that as a negative sign that you need money. That means you're not operating your business effectively, and you're not reaching the milestones you need to be reaching. And so investors took that negatively. The stock price fell, but ever since then, the stock price has substantially rebounded. It was down about 20% when this news was released, and now it's down only 4.8% since September 20th. So the stock has rebounded. Nevertheless, don't read too much of the stock price movement of Nikola. It's a very volatile stock that fluctuates up and down 20% in a day, 40-50% in a week. And so it's not a direct correlation between the news that comes out and the changes in the stock price, what investors actually feel about the move. Because there's so much volatility, it's hard to read into it. Still, overall, I think good news. The company was able to raise $40 million. The next thing for Nikola stock investors to look for is the company to effectively use that money so that when they do need to go back to capital markets, and they are going to need to go back, so that they come back in a stronger position.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.